Welcome to In the House. Today, Pat Bailey of Artisan Hardwood Floors and I have a conversation about what it takes to be in business for over 50 years. We talk about how his family found themselves in the flooring industry, and Pat tells me about the biggest challenges of running a company over the years. We talk about the common issues that Pat finds on every project and some common mistakes homeowners make when caring for their new floors. If you like this episode, please consider subscribing and giving the podcast 5 stars. Thanks for listening. Upgrade your construction layouts with Trademarks. These heavy-duty vinyl markers are designed to withstand harsh job site conditions. They're durable, waterproof, and perfect for marking locations for electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and more. Available in trade-specific colors, Trademarks make communication with your team simple, professional, and reliable. Whether you're recording benchmarks, elevations, or center lines, Trademarks ensure your layouts stay intact, even under heavy traffic. New customers enjoy 15% off at checkout. Visit trademarklayout.com to get yours today. Well, Pat Bailey, it's great to have you on. You're the owner of Artisan Hardwood Floors here in Austin, Texas. And we were just talking about, y'all been in business for 50 plus years here in Austin, which is massively impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on. I know you're a busy guy, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk to me. So, but I want to dive right into how you got into the flooring business.
Yeah. So, I make jokes. It's in my blood. It really is. This is my grandfather started our business on my mother's side, and he was a furniture guy. He ran some bigger furniture factories on the East Coast. I think he was born in Pennsylvania. And during the Second War, they were out of lumber, and he was coming south trying to find lumber. Everything was going to that effort.
Really?
So I think they're kind of like, poaching lumber. But and we can get into this later. But traditionally, lumber from the south is not high quality.
Sure. So
he's down finding anything he can, shipping that back up north, and ultimately he retired here, and there was a furniture factory on 6th Street. I can't think of the name of it, and it got foreclosed on, and he was in retirement, and the bank asked him to come out of retirement and help get it profitable so they could sell it and get their money back out of it. But he lived over in Allendale on Live Oak and wanted a parquet floor, in particular parquet floor for his house, and they wouldn't sell it to him because he wasn't a dealer. So I'll start a flooring company.
Nice.
And he got it was Kentucky wood floors. He got a 5-finger parquet, so it's five pieces. I don't know, maybe 3/4 of an inch wide.
Yeah.
And laid at different. It was all cut edge grain, so it's ripped and quartered. So they take really inexpensive lumber and make it into this high quality parquet floor. And I don't know how that led into the conception of a business, but for 20 years it was ran out of his basement. And
it sounds like it was just started out of spite.
Yeah, if you knew my grandfather, you would know how true that statement was.
Yeah.
His temper is legendary, and so is his aptitude for spite.
Okay.
So I think I've never heard anybody say that without knowing him, but that's 100% started out of spite. So his daughters, let's see, 2 daughters, and then grandson were day one. In 1971. I think technically we say it was 1971, but somewhere in that era. And then Terry still works with us today. He was the grandson, so he's 53 years, a couple of years off, testing other waters. So we're in his basement and had some trucks, and they installed that parquet flooring. It was a paper face back then, so you glue the floor down. And all the little pieces were held together with a piece of paper, and then you wet that and remove the paper.
Oh, okay.
Screen the floor and then finish it. And
that's what I have in my house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What year is the house?
I want to say late 70s.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's it. That was the rave. That was the trend. So they put it. It's really cool because we have so many commercial buildings that we put floors in over the years, and they're still there. There's one out by my house in Bastrop for Les Appelt. You opened a golf course out there and did this convention wedding venue. Yeah, it was his house when they did it. And then we put these parquet floors long before I was born. And
right.
It's a fun history. But then my father came in about a year and married my mother, and they had actually worked for a year and left and then came back, and then at that point he was there, and so I think in somewhere around 1996 my father bought the business. My grandparents were very old at that point. My grandfather was 87. Yeah. He died in a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot.
Really?
In a drive-through. It was like that was his thing. So he literally died doing what he wanted to do. Really? Driving a Lincoln Town Car, wow. Eating donuts.
What a way to go, man.
But he would still go to the office 2-3 days a week.
Wow.
So and I think in like 1986 we moved out to 969 east of 183, right before you hit the toll road. That's where our facility is.
Okay.
5 acres there. So my father bought it, and he technically owns our business outright today. Okay. He retired back in June, and so he still comes in once a week.
Yeah. Okay.
But my brother and I worked there, and lots and lots and lots of family over the years.
Yeah. Really.
Come and going.
Yeah. What are I wanted to get into that. I mean, with an extensive history, I mean, what challenges have y'all faced growing the company over the years? What's been the biggest challenge?
So money. Capital. I mean, you're just getting, the only growth perspective is from profit. And there was profit made in our business in 1999 when I was graduating high school. My father, a guy came up at a convention and handed him a piece of Ipe decking. And my father, the visionary that he is, said, I got to get in this business. So in 1999, we got our first container of Ipe decking.
Really?
I was in high school. My brother came to sell that product. We started another company called Hardwood Decking. For I'd say for 15 years, we were the largest inventory of Ipe in the southern part of the United States. Really? Sold lots and lots of Ipe.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, huge inventory of dimensional lumber.
Okay.
And so we did expand there, and that was going really well. It was a great business. We maybe made a mistake not diversifying.
Okay.
And so the stress of sustainability, product out of the rainforest, all of the thermally modified weren't so hot back then.
Yeah.
But the composites were just every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's 15, 17 other species of wood out of South America that were available.
Right.
So I don't think we diversified quite enough, and in 2008 it tanked us.
Sure.
So we had a big inventory and a lot of debt against it, and it wasn't pretty. We barely survived that. And so
that's incredible.
I think in 08, 07, 06, another guy, me and Dave were sitting around, and a guy came in from Argentina, and he had some mesquite.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, you want to buy a truckload of mesquite?" I said, "Well, let's look at it." And we ended up starting a partnership with these 3 guys in South America. It's funny because the company name was Maderas Eternas, which is essentially Everwood. And the 3 guys, there was my father, my brother, and myself, and 3 guys in South America with the same name company. We hook up and partner together.
No kidding.
Started something called Premium Mesquite, and we were selling mesquite through dealer network. It was a decent business.
Mm-hmm.
We made some money, but we tried to take mesquite into distribution and make it something it wasn't. It's a niche.
Yeah.
So inevitably ultimately we just dissolved the company and stopped running it. Still, I'm still friends with the guys today.
Yeah.
Business in other places. But that was another shot where my father's always been kind of visionary person, and
mm-hmm.
I say he has an idea and I'll try to make it work.
Yeah.
So I think money, and then family, man, it's tough.
Yeah, can be.
We don't have a lot of formal education in my family, so it's not like we're all going to Harvard for business school.
Yeah.
We're trying to make this shit up as we go along and figure out a way to make money, but it's tough when you want to grow and you don't have enough capital to do it. And in our current venture, if I had this to do over again, I would have figured out a way to get more capital to start with.
Yeah, sure.
And a little smaller factory, a little more money to run it.
Hey, I think every small business owner wishes that too. Having more money there at the beginning, would be great. But man, I mean, do you think getting the 4-year degree is worth it? I mean, it seems like y'all are industrious. You say you make it up as you go, but I mean, you're relying on a history of trial and error. And, you learn through experience. You learn by doing. I mean, how are you going to learn that in a college classroom?
I think it's, I would say you don't know what you don't know.
True. Okay.
Unfortunately, I live my life by that motto. And maybe when it's in the family and we don't have a lot of outside influence, it's a bubble. So I do it the way my father did it. He did it the way my grandfather did it. It wasn't his father, his father-in-law.
Sure.
But, you're doing it in some way, shape, or form the way that the guy that before you did it. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard to change that. How do you change that? I don't know any different. My brother doesn't know any different. We know what we know. Yeah. And so I think it's funny. I have a conversation with my best friend all the time. He's a lobbyist attorney. Oh. And he, because I tell him I'm not a person that lives on regrets, but I do wish that I had some more formal business education. Not that I can't go back and do it.
Sure.
But he's always saying, you don't need that. I have this. I never this and that. So, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to it either way. I spent the last 18 years of my life being a perpetual student. Mm-hmm. So if I don't know it, I'm going to try to find somebody that knows more about it than I do and learn from them.
Do you try to hire or recruit people into the business that have formal education? Or
Yeah, but I tend not to put them in the right position. And then,
it's another struggle.
Well, I would say that, I kind of stopped the history a little bit. We had that mesquite business going pretty well. And in 2008, it was like, hey, this business is making a little bit of money, but our other two businesses are not doing well. Yeah. We need to get focused here.
Were these two companies, were they formed before your father took over?
No. That's all.
Kind of at the same time?
He formed Everwood, and then he and I formed Premium Mesquite, and my brother. And then ultimately Everwood, I tried to keep the business open, buying from other importers. Mm-hmm. And it was a really bad decision. It's about one of those things I look back like, damn, I do wish I would have done that different. I would just shut it down a lot quicker. Sure. Because it bled cash. There just wasn't enough markup to buy this product and resell it. Man. There's nothing I could do about it. But we ended up getting that dealt with. And then Premium was pretty easy. We just dissolved that pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. So then we have our core business in Artisan. And I tried a lot of different things. 08 to 15 was terrible. I don't think we lost money every year. Mm-hmm. And by 2016, we made some money, but we were doing a lot of commercial work. Wood really hit in the commercial world. Okay. And I always make a joke because I'm probably going to offend some commercial people, but like the quality standard's not very high. Yeah. So frankly, we could kind of go in there and do a half-assed job and we look like heroes, Right. So
it's because y'all are used to elite performing at this excellent level. Yeah. We're doing a job together right now, and it's evident in y'all's work that the pride that you have for what you do, and yeah, I think when you're used to performing at that level, even when you do half-ass it, you're still miles above some of the other.
I'm not going to say miles because it implies like there's not good people out there. There's certainly good people, but the expectation is lower in the commercial. So what happened was we were selling pre-finished flooring. And you said earlier, talk a little bit about what happened in our industry. Our industry changed like the invention of a cell phone when pre-finished flooring came out. Yeah, and it changed everything. Now, today, pre-finished flooring is 80% of the wood flooring market in the United States. That was completely new to us. We put the floor in, take a machine, sand it, and put finish on it. And and that was just changing so fast. So, fast forward 15 years into the engineered, pre-finished flooring world.
Yeah.
And a guy walks in, a friend of ours, and he's trying to sell us wood.
Yeah.
And he said to me, man, you should buy a finish line. And, I'm in my mind, a finish line is a humongous factory.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that afternoon, I was talking to David about this conversation I was having, and I made a joke like, "Yeah, he said we ought to go, buy a finish line." And I've just seen my father's face, and I'm like, "Oh, here we go." And so it turns out they this advent of these small finish lines, one board at a time, 12 inches wide. You can put a 12-inch board through it and apply custom finish.
Mm-hmm.
And so a year later, we bought one and built this very small finishing plant. I even struggle calling it a factory today because it's really a finishing plant.
Yeah, yeah.
But and we made custom made pre-finished flooring, and it was really, really good timing because we're in this commercial world. And so the first two projects we get are the Barton Creek Omni. The designer chose, Austin proper. The designer picked 9 manufacturers of flooring, and they wanted us to make patterns out of 9 different manufacturers. They didn't even see that they're not even the same thickness.
Right.
So they're asking us to take a floor that's 5/8 and mix it with one that's 9/16 and 3/4.
Wow. And
then we saw man, we could get one platform, do this 9 colors she wants.
Yeah.
And that's what we did is a huge $1.5 million project for us. And then right off the bat, we get this Barton Creek Omni. And so we really got a foothold in making higher end pre-finished flooring for commercial. And then the craze kind of took off. European white oak hit the market, and all these European companies are doing this hand finishing and all these textures. And so it was good timing. And that rode us from 2016 up to COVID, right? So during the first year of COVID, free money everywhere.
Sure.
So we still got we still got a lot of debt from Everwood that we're carrying. And it was like SBAs is giving money away. And my old man's like, let's get some. I'm like, all right. So we restructured everything and we essentially quadrupled the size of our finishing plant. So now we got about 30,000 square feet under conditioned space. That's big finish line and a couple different pieces of equipment. I really built this whole thing for flexibility. So we finished soffit material, finished moldings, finished flooring, and still just try to focus on that, high end custom made product. So it's been that's been a big challenge because our entire history has been one off. We make one thing. Even the Proper and Barton Creek Omni were phenomenal. They're one. We made 9 colors. Okay, that's it. We never made those 9 colors again.
Right.
Or some of them were natural or whatever. But this idea of we needed to go out and create a line of product, go take it to market, and for the last 2.5 years, we've been trying to navigate that, and it's not our business.
Yeah.
It's not our business. And so
you like the custom.
Yeah, we can't. I don't have a choice. Yeah. I can't. I knew this from an installation standpoint. I think it took me 2 years, and my wife kind of slapped me around a little bit to say, listen, I'm more expensive than everybody else. If I sell the same thing, no one's going to pay for it.
Yeah, right.
So
exactly.
I don't have a choice. I have to charge what we have to charge, as does every business. We have a huge investment in our employees' education, in the technical knowledge, so they can go out there and do a higher level product.
Which I want to get into that.
All right, yeah, I'm happy to.
But I mean, you're right. You can't, you can't charge a premium fee for a product that's, the same thing that you would get off the shelf at a big box store. But I mean, with you guys, you are getting an elevated level of install. And you're getting an elevated experience. I mean, you just finished a new showroom, right? Yeah. I mean, you can go, if you're an architect or designer, and you can go to this showroom and you can look at all the different options that are available. I mean, it's really limitless if it's custom. I mean, you can do whatever you can dream up, which is the beauty of it.
You had Nicole Blair.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Absolutely.
She's great.
Incredible person, incredible at her craft. At my first experience with an architect at that level, she designed our showroom so graciously.
Yeah.
Because I did not pay her what she should have gotten.
She's so talented.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
But this whole experience I had with her was just over the moon, and she pays attention to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I live in a flooring bubble. I'm constantly looking down, But she built something for us in a 500 square foot room over at the Lane. That she built something there that is just so functional. So trying to get people to understand that with one log, we could create limitless options.
Mm-hmm.
And, as crazed as people are on white oak, they forget there's like lots of other choices.
Yeah.
So we can take the walnut log and cut it up 4 or 5 different ways and grade it and make different sizes and all of these things that I think being an older family business, we kind of take for granted.
Sure.
And so it's been fun to reintroduce ourselves to the A&D community and talk about, I'll make a joke because I have a teak and carpo wood. I don't know if you know those two species. Teak,
yeah. Well, what was the other one?
Carpo wood.
Carpo wood? No.
Yeah, they're both out of Indonesia, but they it's a panel. My father bought a truckload of this parquet like 35 years ago, and it's been sitting in our showroom. And I got that panel out because I feel like the parquets are really taking off again.
Yeah.
So I drug out all the parquet panels I could find, and this is like everybody's like, "Oh, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen." It's literally 35 years old.
That's so cool.
But we made it out of some other species.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's just showing. I had a great meeting today, and this is someone that I really respect in our industry that knows a lot about wood. Mm-hmm. And they walked into the showroom and they're looking at what I call our custom wall, which is, it's simple for me. It's a species, the cut, the grade, the width, the thickness, and the finish.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. If you can answer all those questions, you built a wood floor spec.
Sure.
And seeing him look at the wall with the individual boards representing and he's just like, wow, I never thought of it like this, Yeah, man, just make these selections, and at the end, you built a custom product.
Yeah.
It's been really fun, but it's 100% a credit to Nicole, and I don't know how she sees that stuff. I could. This is my job. I couldn't see it to that.
I don't know. It just takes a special eye. I mean, she just. Like I said, she's immensely talented, and it was a pleasure to have her on and talk to her. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something. There's certain people I think who just perceive the world around them differently, and they're able to look at things and draw conclusions and things that you wouldn't even imagine, and some of them become architects. So
you and I get to see it every day.
Yeah.
In the homes that we work in. I never lived it. You probably live it a lot more than I do, but the attention to detail is the difference in price.
Yes.
It does not matter. I use cars for analogies on everything because I don't know, they're fundamentally it works for me. Like I tell people all the time, like buying a Lamborghini and putting the bucket seats out of my pickup. It doesn't work. That every single piece of the puzzle has to be thought about.
Yes.
And every trade has to be bought into that. And if they're not, something doesn't work.
It falls apart. Yeah.
Money, somebody's not making money.
Yeah.
I think that happens a lot. And I think it's overlooked. The guy that I was meeting with today, old builder here in Austin, really good guy, but he's so committed to all the subcontractors making money on these projects. Mm-hmm. And because he knows, like, we don't do this for I mean, we all love our work and we're passionate about it, but this is our job.
Yeah.
We need to make profit. If we're not making profit, guess what? The details start getting cut.
That's right. Yeah. Those are the first things that get engineered out, or all the tricky details.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right, though. I mean, everybody on the project, all the trades do have to buy into that mentality. And, I'm not going to name any names, but we did have to get rid of somebody recently. And, the writing was on the wall, I think, from the beginning. And you could kind of tell, when somebody makes a comment like, well, you're never going to see that. It's fine. Or, this is on the ceiling. It's kind of in this obscure spot. Like, don't worry about that. You're not going to see it. It's like, okay, well, I see it. I see it right now. And that's not what we do. We don't just cover something up or push it aside because, well, it's in a tight corner and you're never going to see that it's, this joint isn't quite right, or this isn't smooth, or it's not finished properly, or, there's a huge caulk joint. It's like, no, we don't, that's not what we do here.
No.
Like, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not important. Yeah. And so it was stuff like that would just, it would bug you, when somebody makes a comment like that, like, nah, it's,
Have you built other places?
Yes.
I've only ever built here. So Austin.
Other
cities.
Cities. Well, I mean, I got my start in carpentry while I was at A&M, and that was at College Station. But no, I mean, straight at A&M brought me to Austin, so I've only built here. But I alluded to it earlier. I wanted to get into the educational side of your company, which I think is really unique, and you're probably the only
one in Texas.
We're the only one in Texas that has this school, if you will, all right, for training wood flooring for what it is that you guys do. So can tell me about that?
Yeah, we call it Artisan Certified Professional. And it's a lot of the foundation is based around the National Wood Flooring Association's education. It's a component of it, and then we take that and we take their education that's available for us for our apprentices, and we turn that in. We take it further, bottom line. But so we were only the fourth company in the United States to have an apprenticeship program in wood flooring, and we're the first in Texas to do it. I mean, this isn't new, right? In Carpenters Union, Carpenters Apprentices. Yeah. And there are wood flooring schools in Union states.
Sure.
But certainly not in Texas. And, a couple of years ago, we went through this whole business coaching concept. Been a wonderful experience with this guy named James Ashcroft. But he, when we first started this thing, we sat down in a room together and said, what is the thing that made our company different? It really made it different. It's funny. Now I can say this now because I've been around this business coaching for a while. But he goes on the board. And he's like, "What makes you guys different? What do we write? Quality, experience, longevity. The same 40 words that every single company was going to write.
Right. Right.
And so we did all that, and he's like, "Okay, erase all that, and let's talk about what really makes our company unique." And and it was funny because we kind of went around the room and somehow started listing all the flooring businesses that are in Central Texas that the founder of the business worked at our company. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are my family.
That's insane.
And we started like, a lot of people, I can say we now, I'm a big part of this. Mm-hmm. We have been instrumental in a lot of people's development in this industry. I'd like to think that we've had some impact nationally through the Wood Flooring Association. My uncle was very, very big in education there. And so it's really the development of people was a big thing that we do differently. Mm-hmm. And it was not it's funny because it was found out. It wasn't something that we said, oh, this is what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. No, this is like, we found this out about ourselves.
Like you just did this naturally.
And we just did this naturally. Yeah. 6 different people, and then we said, well, the next question in the business world is, how do we leverage that?
Yeah.
And so that's when we founded the ACP program, and we put what I say, the artisan standard. And I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a lot of this is aspirational. I'm not where I want to be now.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll ever get where I want to be. And maybe that's what makes it different I was talking to a guy yesterday about these big mansions, and he goes, "This is next level." I said, "Carlos, every time we start one of these houses, it's the next level. Mm-hmm. The level is raised every single time that we have to do this."
That's amazing.
You live it.
Yeah.
It can't be the same level. No, because this one is more or whatever it is.
Yes.
So if you're not continuously getting better,
mm-hmm.
So we started this program and we live quality, we live education for the client. But man, I'm telling you, the general contractor has to buy into this. The homeowner has to buy into it. I have to buy into it. Mm-hmm. Because if the homeowner doesn't buy it, they're not going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Fine. I'm not saying you have to buy what I'm selling.
Sure.
I'm saying that if you don't believe in it, you're not going to pay for it.
Sure. Yeah.
Or you're going to leave with sour taste in your mouth because you feel under service.
Mm-hmm.
So just as the general contractor, if you don't adamantly care about the details, you're going to think I work really slow and cost a lot. Because I work really slow and cost a lot. That's how the details are different,
yes,
you know?
Yes.
I don't advertise, hey, call Pat. He's Artisan. They're way faster than everybody else. No, That's the opposite.
Yeah. Yep.
This stuff takes time. And if you're not, as the builder, committed to that, you're not going to give me the time I need.
Yep. And
then if I can't make money doing it, why would I do it?
Right.
So it really has to be a winning scenario for everybody engaged. And so I do not have direct access to homeowners. We work a lot directly with homeowners.
Yes.
But in a lot of these giant projects, there's architect, designer, general contractors,
agents,
owners, reps.
Yeah.
So I rely on you as a general contractor in this scenario. You have to vet the client.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in 3 years after you start the project?
Sometimes, yeah.
So if the client's got bad taste in their mouth after 3 years, they're really not going to be happy when I come in and we lay one floorboard at a time, you know, and think about and scratch our heads and cut it 14 times.
Yeah.
So I think the expectation really got to be set up front. And the fun part is there's groups of people that all feel like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's a ton of them in Austin. There's a ton of them in Austin. And they really want to try to elevate the project every time and to the next time.
I agree wholeheartedly. What kind of things in this this training program? I mean, are all employees required to go through this, or what kind of things are you learning as you go through this program?
One thing I'm learning is that people can't quit. Right? Like there's a lot of money. The program's 2 years. The university component is 2 years. So there's an online university provided by the National Wood Flooring Association. It's fantastic. There's just, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to throw this out here because people tend to forget about it. Wood is a horrendous building product. Like it never stops moving around.
That's very true.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So every time that there's a temperature or humidity change, so if I'm being honest, probably 50% of the curriculum is dedicated to wood and water, right? Because our product is so susceptible to water. Also, water doesn't generally run up to the ceiling, runs down to the floor. So my particular product is always getting wet on.
Yep.
So the water education is a huge component of it. Climate control and all of that stuff. And then there's all the technical part. Subfloor systems today are so complicated. There's crawl spaces, basements, underfloor heating. What trim guy has to worry about underfloor heating? Overheating is casework.
Yeah.
Very
little. Yeah.
The wood floors are really, your cabinet guys got to deal with it some, but the wood floor guys got to deal with all of these different conditions, particularly in Texas. Man, nobody wants to climate control their crawl space, by the way.
Yeah.
It costs a little bit,
It does cost some money.
You want to keep the wood floor stable, you climate control this crawl space. Yeah. So there's I can't remember exactly how many hours the university is, but it's set up with these bank of classes, and then they're then they're getting credit for completing the class, and then they have to ultimately we're the judge of their aptitude to perform this. Some of it's performance based, like you need to be able to sand the floor and follow all the steps, so on and so forth. And then once that is over, there's 600 hours of on the job training. So the whole program is about 2 years from the National Wood Flooring Association. And then the idea is that the next 2 years will be dedicated to teaching somebody how to run a business. The component that we know, and that's education for us. We like to engage everybody in finance, engage them in marketing, and understanding that no matter how big your business is, you have HR, you have finance, you have maybe one person doing all those things.
Well, there's the business side of the business.
The business side of the business. So trying to get everybody to understand that, and then ultimately have a stake in the outcome. That's the idea. And it's we're on like third year of it, and I've messed everything up and started over 10 times, and it is what it is. Yeah. Well, this stuff doesn't happen overnight.
No, that's true.
53 years of doing something the same way. I'm not going to change it in a year.
Yeah, for sure.
And then these guys, we want to branch that out to a Artisan certified product. So we're making our flooring and stamping it with a approval of our own.
What would that mean?
I think it's just some kind of, and we're not developed yet, but I think it's some sort of like, hey man, I got a really high standard, and so if it ain't meeting my standard, we shouldn't say that we made it.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that we're not gonna make mistakes.
Sure. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if it's not sealed with Artisan certified product, then that's not what you're getting. And it's probably sounds like marketing fluff, but the more that I get into this, the more that I understand. No. I'm holding the standard.
Yeah.
Okay. It might say Artisan on it, but Pat Bailey got to be right under it, saying like this passed the standard.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't pass mine, then how can I honestly?
It's a reflection on you.
It's a reflection on me. And everybody at our company, I got a company of people that really take a lot of pride in that and what they want.
That's kind of what I was just gonna say, that it's not just you who has this high level of standard, this high standard. I mean, I've worked with your guys. I mean, they all are very prideful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, really, and there are times where I feel like we're gonna just drive them up the wall with how many times we have to rework something or do something over again just to get it right. But they are very patient, and they understand where we're coming from. They understand the level of detail that we're trying to achieve, and that's worth its weight in gold. That's to be able to have somebody who has the patience to work with a architect or work with a builder, and to just take their time and do it right, or redo it if need be, to get it the way they want it. I mean, that's awesome. But
I don't want to. This ain't it's certainly not the Pat Bailey show, and I don't want it to come off sounding like that. These guys have adopted this, man.
Yeah.
Yes. It took time for it to get rooted, and there's a lot of personnel turnover because not everybody agreed with that.
Yeah, not everybody's going to buy into it.
It doesn't mean they're bad people. Right. It doesn't mean that we're a bad company. It's just we didn't have the same values. We didn't align the same things. And the group of guys that we have now, and women are huge. I can't overstate this enough. We need more women in construction, period. And I really like my company to be a place that is open for everybody to work. But we've left that. We've allowed this group of people to set the standard. I mean, I just said, here's some bumpers. At the end of the day, they're the ones that got to be responsible for doing the work. I don't know how to do this,
Yeah.
So it's a really fun, frustrating, and it's a frustrating experience. It's fun. It's exciting, and it's terrible, and it's every emotion. Anybody ever owned a business, they got the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terrible emotions.
Well, I kind of wanted to pivot just a little bit and talk more about, a little bit educational maybe for some people who are listening. When it comes to a new build or maybe a remodel, what are some of the biggest issues that you find when you're doing a custom floor?
Leveling. I mean, it's fundamental, leveling.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Level with me and you means we have a level. And it says a bubble in between these two little lines. And if the bubble is not outside or if it's within those two lines, it's level. If it's not, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way our industry works. Our industry works on a tolerance.
Right.
So do concrete guys. And I don't pretend that we make things perfect. But the style of the house today with no trim,
mm-hmm.
the cabinets that have no trim, I mean, trim just disappeared.
Yeah.
Things have to be level. And I do not set the windows or the doors or the fireplace hearth.
Yeah.
I don't pour the concrete.
Yeah.
So at the same time, my product interacts with every single
It touches everything around the house.
So if there's not someone that is setting the benchmark, is the proper word we use, but really just setting the elevation very, very precisely,
mm-hmm.
it's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah. And I mean, new builds, 100%. You have way more control over that. Setting that benchmark, what the finished elevations should be and working off of that. Remodels, though, a little bit trickier. There's some projects you get into and your whole slab might be off a couple inches, from one end to the next. And like you said, there's a tolerance to everything. So it's like, what degree of level are we going for? And that's tricky to navigate.
I think it's like this. The reason I was saying about the two lines with the bubble in the middle.
Yeah.
Because there is no such thing as kind of level.
Yeah.
It's either level or it's sloped.
Right.
And I have a difficult time sometimes explaining to someone, you're asking me to slope the floor. Mm-hmm. Fine. Stop saying level. Because level means that it is flat.
Yes.
And it's plumb and square, whatever. I mean, all these different words. But this simple thing is very, very important. If the floor is not level, it's sloped.
Yeah.
So if we need to come to that. Now, how much can we reasonably slope something before it's aesthetically not pleasing or somebody's, in their office chair rolling backwards? I don't know. But the point is, the discussion has to be had early.
Mm-hmm.
Early as can be. I'm at a house right now. They're not even done framing, and I'm down shooting the grid on the lower level. We're leveling right now because, they have some floor to ceiling piece of artwork. I don't know what it is. It's not technically artwork. I think it is because some millwork guy is going to craft some incredible cabinet.
Wow. Okay.
And it has to be, the hole that this thing goes in has to be precise.
Yeah.
And so we're probably, I don't know, I'm going to guess the builder probably doesn't believe me, 2.5 years from, he thinks it's going to be a year and a half. We're probably 2 years away from putting the floor in and we're doing the leveling.
Wow.
And they don't even have the whole house built. It's a 3-story house. We're on the level 1. Concrete. Get it done,
Crazy.
So if we don't get in there early, we can't do anything. And then everybody's fighting the same thing. Mm-hmm. Because I messed with the cabinet guy. Well, the cabinet guy needed a toe kick of 4 inches, and he's got 3 5/8 on this end and 4 inches on this end. Or the wallpaper people ordered some custom wallpaper that God knows what it costs from Europe, and it only comes in 9 foot 6 inches. Oh, that end of the wall, my floor's down a little bit. It's 9 foot 7 1/4. The wallpaper ain't long enough, you know. So everybody has to work together on this thing, and this is the idea of this is pretty simple. I think average people think houses are level.
True. Yeah, that's true.
And I think any tradesperson knows that no houses are level. And so it's the cost associated with achieving this.
That's true.
And that's the hard part. I did a study on our company for last year, and this is not across the board. This is the bigger luxury homes. 25% of the flooring budget is in addition to the contract sum for leveling. 25%.
Wow.
If you're spending a couple $100,000 on a wood floor, that's a lot of money going to leveling. And then all of a sudden there's like this blame tossed around. Well, the concrete guy should have done. No, come on.
Yeah.
The concrete guy does his part. It can't be egregious, but he needs to do his job to a certain tolerance, and then we have to take it from there.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think we've really been struggling getting the appropriate amount of dollars allocated for leveling.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, the biggest thing that everybody needs to watch out for is the site conditions. You know, with the way the permitting is in our lovely city, no one can get power. No one, everything's temporary generators, and everybody wants to skirt the rules when they have engineered flooring,
right?
Because you can get away with so much more. But the fact of the matter is, you're not supposed to.
Sure. And
so, permanent condition space, what we call normal living conditions, is where the cabinet guy needs to be. I need to be. The trim guy needs to be.
That's right.
And it's hard to accommodate that stuff, new or old.
Yeah.
Remodel or new construction.
Because, I mean, as you alluded to earlier, wood is so susceptible to, moisture and humidity changes that, a lot of manufacturers and wood flooring installers will tell you that, it needs to be a conditioned space. Whatever the climate is going to be when the occupant is living in it, that's what it needs to be whenever you deliver and install your flooring.
Yeah. Because
if it changes, you could have a huge problem on your hands where you have floorboards buckling and twisting and coming up, or, seams that are pulling apart, whatever it is. So
I don't know if people understand how often it happens. It happens a lot.
A lot.
I mean, I get a call weekly. Somebody's, my floor is a year old. I have nothing but problems with it.
Well, it's a good segue into my next question, which is like, what are some common, I don't want to say a mistake, but what are some common issues that new homeowners might face, like when they have a new floor? What are a lot of the calls that you get?
I mean, the moisture is a big one, but it's a different conversation that is such a huge component of the education piece for our artisan certified professionals, because at the end of the day, the installer has to be responsible. This is not magic. It's science. You take a moisture meter, you stab the substrate, you stab the wood floor. They need to be within X amount of points of each other. It's just rules. And if you're within those rules, the wood floor will stay stable.
Sure.
So that part's pretty cut and dry. You need a qualified wood flooring professional that understands how to keep the wood stable. And then you need a general contractor and a mechanical contractor that know how to keep the house's relative humidity and temperature stable. And then beyond that, I think, there's a few things that come to mind recently. The wire brushing craze. That's rocking back big time. Because it turns out you can't clean a white floor that has 1/16 of an inch deep grooves in it.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. And nationally, it's a nightmare. Yeah. So, I try to tell the customers, be a little leery. The wire brushing is great because it looks cool. It's functional for dogs and stuff. But a white floor with deep grooves in it, maybe not the best concept.
Yeah.
But with that said, I think homeowners need to understand that they need to do maintenance on the wood floor. It's not like this zero maintenance thing. You need to do, as a homeowner, you need to do proper cleaning depending on the finish you have. So first and foremost is understanding what finish got applied to your floor. Even if it is from a factory, you still got to know they are not all the same.
That's true.
And then secondly is the manufacturer recommendation for maintenance. When is it supposed to be recoated? What is it supposed to be recoated with? It's easy for everybody to just like fly to Bona. It's the 80, I think, what do they tout? 86% brand recognition. Okay, that's fine. And they make a vast amount of products, but I see people using the wrong products out of their line all the time.
Yes.
And really impacting the way their floor looks. And now they have no choice but to pay a professional to come and get it back to what it was.
Yeah.
So really, really, really understanding what finish you have. And then before that, understanding what wood you picked. Mm-hmm. If you picked Douglas fir, for example, beautiful, and and you have, a bunch of young kids with riding tricycles in the house, probably not going to last very long.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want your floor to look like it's lived on, fantastic. If you want your floor to look like you hover across every day, then probably not a good idea,
Yeah.
The white oak is such a kind of foundation because it's moderately hard, it's moderately stable. There's woods that are way more stable, woods that are way less stable, woods that are way harder, woods that are less hard. So it's kind of the standard. White oak has always kind of been the standard, white and red. But if durability is a really big concern, then go outside of white oak and think about another wood that's a lot harder. But you have to take the time to understand what all of these different woods bring to the table.
Sure.
And I shot out the finished part earlier, but during that selection process, particularly with architects, I think we're probably getting into realm of technical. We do a lot of continuing education on trees, wood, how it's harvested, how it's cut, different species. Every single species of tree on this planet has its own unique characteristics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of them are more rot resistant. Some of them are harder. Some are softer. Some of them grow really tall with no branches. Some of them are short and stubby, but they all have their own characteristics. And understanding those characteristics it allows us to use more lumber. And people are like, oh, we don't want to use it. No. Wood is our only naturally renewable resource on this planet. So being responsible and not selectively harvesting one single species or attacking one species will prolong our use to use this resource.
Sure.
So I think that it starts with understanding what all the woods do so we can pick the right wood for the job.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean that too. And just people want custom.
Yeah.
Nobody wants the same floor that everybody else has.
No, fair enough.
So, well,
when I would argue white oak changed that.
I guess, man. I love white oak. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. It's beautiful, but man, I'm kind of getting tired of looking at white oak all the time.
It's the same. I'm not going to say the same, but there's so many variations, and it is. So the big deal is, I don't know if people know this or not, but white oak has the highest. North American white oak has the highest tannin content of all wood species. Tannin is an organic compound. It's the things that acorns, right? You see acorns laying in a bucket, turns the water black. That's tannin reaction with water.
Okay.
So that's why when you get water on a white oak floor, you get a big black spot under the plant ring. The water's reacting with the tannin. So there's this whole cool thing that happened, I don't know, a very, very long time ago with ammonia. We realized that if you expose white oak to ammonia, it will react with the tannin and fume the wood. So that now this word fuming, everybody's very familiar with. So you can modify the color of white oak by applying different products that react with tannin.
Interesting.
For example, sodium hydroxide, lye.
Yeah.
So you can put lye, mix it with water, put it on white oak, and it will have a reaction that would mimic some kind of staining. So this whole thing created this thing called reactive staining. And this was like, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. Rubio Monaco really brought it into the United States. Yeah. But even before that, a lot of people were making their own, like soak steel wool in water.
Yeah. Okay.
You're oxidizing the water, and you're rubbing it on the wood. The oxidation is reacting with the tannin. Boom, you get some kind of effect. So these European companies really jumped on this, and it created this whole cherusing fad because oak has a big density variation between the winter grain and the spring grain. So now you apply this reactive stain to it, and the winter grain takes it differently than the spring grain. So all of a sudden you have this two-tone effect.
Yeah.
And that everybody went crazy.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. And today there's so many different products that you can do this with. Yeah, I mean, we have everything. You can make the grain lighter. You can make it dark. I mean, just it's so limitless. The color palette is so cool.
Yeah.
And so the white oak works the best. But now they're finally starting to adopt some of these stains that will work on other species. So My wife and I were just messing with one on Doug fur, which Douglas fir has no tannin. But they're essentially mixing tannin with the product, pre-reacting it, and then you're applying it to the wood.
Oh, I see what you're
And
saying.
you can even I even have a tannin primer. You can put the tannin on the wood.
Oh, no kidding.
Add tannin to it, and then come back over the top and stain it. But so the point is, you get all these crazy effects, and so it was years. It was only on white oak.
Yeah,
and that's why it was so popular.
Yeah, it is. Well, Pat, what do you like to do for fun outside of work? Yeah. What do you do? Yeah,
one thing: horses.
Horses.
That my whole life is.
What do you got a ranch? What do you do?
I grew up around real ranches, so I don't say I have a ranch by any means.
Okay.
My wife and I got some land in Bastrop, but I've been riding horses my whole life. She's a dedicated horse person. But it's a longer story. But for 15, 18 years now, I'm studying horsemanship and colt starting. So I ride young horses. And we did that together for 15 years. We start colts the first 90 days of riding, and then they go on to a different
what is that
sport.
What does that do? What do you mean you start?
Like the horse has never been ridden before.
Oh, you're trying to get them used to a
exactly. I don't use words like breaking, right? Like you hear I'm breaking a horse. That was a very common term. I don't use those words. We don't want to break them. We want to ride them.
Okay. Yeah.
But the terminology that we use is colt starting. So normally they're 2-year-old horse.
Okay.
And they've never been ridden before. And then so we introduce the saddle and take them through a program, and then 90-day program for the colt starting part. And then sometimes we'll keep them and advance them, or they'll go to another trainer and be advanced for another sport.
That sounds brutal.
Oh, no. This is, I don't like getting bucked off.
Not to the horse, but I've ridden a few horses. I've been bit by a horse. I never, ever want to feel that again. That was horrible. Bit me like right on the side too, like right in the tender fat area on your side. And just massive. I heard it just crunch. And oh man, that was painful.
They're incredibly powerful animals.
Yeah, they are.
And people take that way for granted. There's a sweet demeanor.
Of course.
But it can very much hurt you. And young horses, they're a prey animal, so their flight is their first reaction.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're going to do anything they can to get away from you. Yeah. So their reaction, we always see it. Anytime you get a person and a horse around a trailer, shit goes crazy.
Really?
Especially if, and I think it's because people don't appreciate. I see it a lot when they're trying to back the horse out of the trailer.
Oh,
right. We see the trailer is 1 foot off the ground.
Yeah, and
we see an animal with 4 foot legs, and we think this is ridiculous. Why don't you just step out of the trailer?
Right.
But for 1 minute, if you put yourself in a horse's mindset here, he could be stepping off the Grand Canyon.
Right.
He has no idea where the floor is.
Sure.
And so we mix emotions, frustration. Generally, people are getting home at a late hour and they're trying to back the horse out of the trailer. They want to go inside.
Yeah.
And then the horse is like, I'm not getting out of there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where I was going with it, but it's a place where I think a lot of the way I live my life is from learning from these whole experience with training these animals, and to put yourself in somebody else's shoes for a minute and understand their perspective. And particularly when you have something that's a flight. But it's helped me. It's helped me in my world. I got a temper, and we speak a certain way, a lot different when me and you away from these microphones to each other.
Sure.
And that's a way I was raised. That's the way construction sites are.
For sure.
So, there's a way to be passionate and emotional while being respectful. I think you do a good job at this. I think you do a very good job at it.
Appreciate it.
Because you have to have difficult conversation. And
sometimes,
yeah. I mean, it's part of life.
Yes.
And doing it disrespectfully is not going to get us anywhere.
No, for sure. Absolutely not. Well, I want to end on one question, Pat, which is, if you could change one thing about the construction industry, what would it be?
Women.
Why do you say that?
Because they're not paid as much as we are. They're not utilized, particularly in management position. Frankly, they're disrespected. It's not as much in the high-end residential.
You think so?
I do, and especially in commercial.
Really?
I don't want to say too much into it, but I was with one of our project manager, our field supervisor, Valeria, and on a commercial job site, and we were with this guy, and he was, it's just to this day it disgusts me. But he was talking about, he was giving her an example of a safety program.
Okay.
And he had a book, he had a safety manual from another company. And he goes, let me show you what an MSDS looks like. This is a woman that has a degree in construction management.
Okay.
And he's showing her what an MSDS looks like. First off, he opened it to Fabulosa. She's a Hispanic woman. That's the MSDS sheet that he selected to use an example for a Hispanic woman in a management position.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at this dude like, what is wrong with you, man? I mean, everything about this is wrong.
Sure.
And then I see the way that she's dealt with on the job site. And
you don't think he was trying to make a joke?
No.
And it just didn't
No, absolutely not.
He was really trying to
100% dead serious.
Yeah.
No, he was not making a joke.
I got you.
I was around the guy. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's not fair, and I think that we're underutilizing half of the population.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, do you think it's? I mean, most women probably do. They feel like construction is for them. I mean, it seems like it's male dominated because construction is just something that men naturally gravitate to. Building and engineering, it just seems like construction, right, is just one of those industries that men just naturally gravitate to and women don't.
I don't know. I mean, you asked the question, so no, I'm going to give you my honest answer.
Give it.
That stance is a little too much like, hey, this woman was going on a television show where she had to wear a bikini.
Mm-hmm.
So she should have known that the TV producer was going to sexually harass her. Really? What is there causation here? What I know is I know one female project manager in my career at our company.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm incredible. Her name was Nan. I can't think of her last name. Worked with a guy named Nick Burkhalter.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible person.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
One. My entire life has been here, short of 5 years. I can name one female senior project manager. 1 million designers.
Of course. Yeah, there's a lot.
Why is that of course? I mean, I don't know. I'm not looking to you to give
no,
a
I know, but
answer,
you're like you said, I asked the question, but I think it's a valid question, and that's a question that a lot of people ask.
Yeah.
And I see that all the time that we need more women in construction, and I'm all for it. Because I think at the end of the day, what matters is, can you do the job and can you do it well? It doesn't matter if you're black or white or gay or straight or male or female. It doesn't matter. Can you do the job and can you do it well, right?
I mean, that's the way I feel about it.
Right, that's what I mean.
I mean,
so
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 women that,
mm-hmm.
including my wife, that work at our company.
Mm-hmm.
They're welcome to do any job that we have. I encourage them to do any job. I don't know a lot of. We had a female lead floor installer for many years. We had multiple, but we had a mother and son.
Okay.
That worked here for, I don't even know, 22 years, and then one of them was a lead floor mechanic, sanding mechanic, and then her son was a lead sanding mechanic, and then Sue and her husband, they married here. Divorced. They didn't divorce here, but so I just didn't think this was a big deal until I started. I'll be honest. I read a book about compensation.
Sure.
And I was like, damn, my compensation is not fair. All the women at my company made less. It's going to take some time to correct it. I'm trying to correct it.
Is that a difference between like a field position and an office position?
I don't know. I just looked at arguably people that were in the same position, the women made less. In my own company, I didn't even know.
Sure.
I see one person get a raise, the other one doesn't. Male, female. Did she not ask for it? That's my argument. Well, she didn't ask. I'm not telling you why. I'm just telling you what it is. And I bet that's true of a lot of places. You have women superintendents and
yes,
I don't know what titles you guys all have these days, but project management, upper level women. So I just want to see more of it. And I think it can be corrected. And it has to be fair. And I think what you said is the point. Like, can you do the job? Then you should make the same amount of money.
Correct.
And you should be promoted in the same fashion.
Absolutely. There should be one standard.
That's
and if you can meet that standard, then hey, welcome aboard.
Yeah. So I don't know why it doesn't. I don't get in the philosophical part of it very much. I just try to do
your best.
Yeah.
Yes.
And try to make it a fair place for people to work.
I agree, man. And, I think that's a good place to end. And Pat, like I said, I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate your hard work and dedication and what you do. So I appreciate you.
I'll probably turn off half of the customers I was going to get. Maybe I'll make up double for.
I hope so. Let's do it. All right.
Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, Pat.